Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Queen Sugar Season 2, Episode 6, and the name of this episode is Line of Our Elders. Man, y'all, this was a good episode. I'm still like, I'm still like over the moon right now after how the episode ended, as well as everything that took place throughout the episode. Now, I'm going to try to do my best to group everything, so bear with me. The episode opens up with Nova and Ralph Angel. They're pretty much at the memorial site for the Dawn-Lyen family. And, you know, she actually takes a picture of the memorial of all the Dawn-Lyens, you know, their ancestors that have passed away. And the last one on the list was their father, Ernest. So they take a picture. So Nova takes a picture and sends it to Charlie, and Ralph Angel's like, well, if she really wanted to be here, she'll be here. And then Nova's like, she's about to open the mill tomorrow. Like, really, Ralph Angel? Because, as I said, there's always this tension between Ralph Angel and Charlie. It's like the alpha male and the alpha female, and they just butt heads. So we definitely see that Charlie is now working through is pretty much working out some of the, you know, some of the last, you know, minute things, you know, as far as opening the mill. We now see that Darla is actually working with her as her office assistant, and we see that, you know, and it was actually kind of cool to see that you know, Darla's working and that she's trying to maintain her recovery. And we even saw a scene where Darla actually spilled something on her blouse, and Charlie tells her to go in her closet and find something to wear, and she finds this dress to wear, or whatever. Also, we actually see that we also see that Charlie's actually meeting with this guy. I think his name is Ben, and he's from Esquire. She was looking for this guy Adam, who she has a relationship with, but Adam couldn't make it. So Ben was sent, and we already see Ben is trying to get an exclusive on Charlie. Whereas Charlie is used to when Charlie's used to controlling the narrative, you know, of the story, he wants an exclusive. He wants something that's unseen. He wants something juicy, because he starts asking questions about Davis West, and he's like, so where's he? Because, you know, the mill is opening the next day, and well, actually, I don't know what was the next. I think the mill was opening that day, and they were just working on some of the last-minute stuff. And, you know, he's asking, so where's Davis West? And she said that he's in Miami, you know. And he's like, well, I don't understand. Like, he's supposed to be your husband. Shouldn't she be by your side on one of the biggest days of your life? You know, you're opening this mill. And then he's like wondering, like, why leave LA to come to St. Josephine's? And she said it was because of my father. But we see that Ben's messy, because Ben is always trying to find something. Like, he's trying to get that exclusive. So he started with Charlie. Then he sees her. Then we see that that her along with Remy like to drink, y'all. Her and Remy give Ben a tour of the mill. And again, he starts off again like, so it seems to me that you're very close to Charlie. I mean, don't you kind of find it interesting that her husband's not here and all of that, and, you know, really just digging in, because we know that Charlie and Davis are getting a divorce, but it's not known publicly, and they're not going to come out with it until the divorce is final. So Ben is like fishing for something to talk about, and he's looking for something juicy. He doesn't want, you know, the normal story that you get from Charlie Dawn-Lyen West. He wants an exclusive, and he is not, you know, he is not giving up whatsoever. And Remy just explained it to him that, look, I've been very close with this family. Her father and I were best friends. So me being a part of this mill is everything. And me and her are very good, business associates, and we're good friends. But come on, y'all. We all know that y'all feeling each other. And we can still tell that, that they actually still have that chemistry that's between them. But they're keeping it under wraps, because she's waiting to end her situation and before she actually pursues something else. But then she also kind of lets Remy know that she took his advice, to take time, due to the fact that she's going through a divorce, that she should take some time for her and not just jump into something else. And then she says, I even went to counseling. This friend told me to go to counseling, and I have been doing that. Yeah, because we saw that she went to counseling, on the last episode. So we still see that good rapport that her and Remy had is still there. But yeah, that was rather interesting. And then I'm actually gonna talk about like the actual what actually goes down on the opening during the opening of Queen Sugar. So next I'm gonna talk about is Nova. Nova is at the house with Ralph Angel. She's at Ernest's desk, and while she's at the desk, she pretty much is looking for something, and she finds this envelope, and inside the envelope is a check for $600. She asked Ralph Angel, "Where's this check from $600 that was made out to Daddy? Where did this come from?" Ralph Angel has no idea, because for all of us who have been watching since season 1, we know that Ernest was working as a janitor because he didn't have enough money to harvest his farm. So the only way he could make money was by working as a janitor. And then due to the fact that probably the Sandries and the Bordelos had been creating so many obstacles for him that he couldn't harvest his own land. So Nova tracks down the check and finds out that he was actually working as a janitor. She actually gets the stuff out of his locker, the stuff that he left behind, and they knew about him passing. And inside of it was his work gloves and a picture of Blue. So she knew that it was true. And now let's see. Now next people I'm gonna talk about is Hollywood and Vi. Pretty much Vi is cooking. She's pretty much doing the catering. And pretty much doing the cooking for Charlie's, for the opening of Queen Sugar. Hollywood mentions about that they now have a memorial for Ernest, and the family's gonna go there to pay their respects. Well, immediately, I'm buying down with it. She's like, I'm not going. They done already had a funeral. That's all. That's it. I don't need to go back there again, and I'm just not having it. And we can tell that this bothers Hollywood, because it's like, this is your brother. This is like your family. Why wouldn't you go and pay your respects? And she's like, well, I pay my respects by going to the funeral. I'm not going through that again. And we actually see that while they're at the opening of Queen Sugar, her and Hollywood get into it. And here it is. She's like, you know what? You starting to get on my nerves with this crap. You the one that told me, let them be. They grown. You remember that? You remember when you told me to leave them alone? Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. But then you up here still trying to make me get involved with all of this. And Hollywood had to remind her, yeah, that's what I said. But this was your brother. remember that. And I was like, okay, Hollywood. I be loving Hollywood when he gets her, because I love Vi, but sometimes Vi be tripping. And Hollywood is that perfect balance for her, because he's the one that gets her back on the straight path. Like, he's the one that will always say something to get her right. And he kind of got her together. Like, look, this is your brother. You know, you need to be there for him. And I think what actually got her to come around was when Blue was looking at, during the opening of Queen Sugar, we actually see that that Blue was actually looking at the picture of Ernest, and he's talking about how much he misses his pop. And she's like, yeah, I miss him too. And Blue's like, but he wasn't your pop. She's like, yeah, he was my brother. So we see that she's finally realized paying respect is very important, because you still want to honor his memory and honor the love and greatness that he brought to all of your lives. So it's like it finally dawned on Vi that, yeah, she should pay her respects, and she does. All right, next I'm gonna talk about is Ralph Angel. Let's just say Ralph Angel had a little run-in with somebody that he had a run-in with on episode 1 of season 1. Y'all remember when Ralph Angel left Blue at the park, and he went to that convenience store, and he pretty much had a gun and pretty much robbed the store. He goes into the store with Blue, and he goes in there to buy some milk or whatever. He goes into the counter, and the woman remembers him. Because remember, like in episode 1, she's like, I saw your face. As soon as she saw him again, she immediately remembered him. She's like, oh my God, you. I lost my job because of you. And she's like, don't play stupid. You know what I'm talking about. And then he just threw the money down, grabbed his stuff, and left. And later on, that comes back up, and I'm gonna get to that. So, I think I pretty much covered, the siblings, So pretty much, this is the opening of the Queen Sugar meal. Everybody's there. Everybody's happy. Charlie, Charles talks about how it's really important for her, because this is like keeping up with her father's legacy. And that, we want to keep our father's dream alive. And, I dedicate the opening of Queen Sugar to my father, Ernest Bordelon. And they cut the ribbon, and she also gets Ralph Angel as well as other farmers to throw in sugar cane, so they can actually process some sugar cane all together, as pretty much as symbolic that all of the farmers are coming together as one. Because we all know that what Charlie's been doing, she pretty much has been leading a mobilization to get all of the black farmers to leave the Sandries and the Bordelots to actually come and farm with her, and to process their sugar at her mill, versus going to the Sandries and the Bourgeois, because they're being robbed. It's kind of like a 60-40 deal, where the mills getting more money off of their hard work, whereas Charlie flipped it, and also gives them even more money on the back end, for the fact that they decided to come with her. She gave them an incentive. So, she's now got all of the black farmers now, working with her. And tell me why that smug motherfucker, Landry, sent a bouquet of flowers saying, like, welcome to the game. I'm like, this fool is a mess. And we also see that, as I mentioned before, Darla had messed up her blouse. So she goes into Charlie's closet and she picks out this really nice dress, and she takes her hair out, and she looks great, and she fits right in. because now that she's Charlie's office assistant, she's that was probably probably that dress cost a few hundred. That dress wasn't cheap. And, it was cool that, we see that, that Darla's coming into her own. So we actually, so now they open the mail, everybody's excited and everything, and, also, I think before the, grand opening, once Nova finds out about Ernest, she tells, Prosper and Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel had no idea. Prosper knew he had a hustle, but didn't know what he was doing. So, of course, this triggers something in Nova because now we know why he died. He overworked himself. He was not only tending to his land the best he could, but then he was working, as a janitor and pretty much worked himself to death. So with that going on, we can definitely tell that this really shook Nova up. And what ends up happening is that, as I mentioned before, that all of the farmers brought their cane, and they were going to grind all of the cane, as a part of the event of opening the new mill. Well, something happens where the actual the machine gets clogged, and it starts setting off alarms and stuff, and it's because the machine was clogged, and Charlie just flips out because she wanted this day to be perfect. She wanted everything to go smoothly. She wanted everything to go off without a hitch. And when this happened, she went off. She literally gets herself messy by going in trying to pull out the grain sugar out, and she just loses it and she breaks down. And then Nova comforts her, and Charlie admits that, I have a lot of guilt because the last time I talked to Dad, he wanted me to come out here, and I didn't come. And because of that, he died, and I never got a chance to say goodbye. And then Nova said that, look, you had a lot on your plate. You had Davis West and all of his bullshit. So I know that you had a lot going on. So don't even give no air to that. But then she admits that, hey, I haven't talked to Dad in a long time, and one of the last times I saw him, we didn't really have much to say to each other. So it's like, you wanted to talk to Dad but couldn't be here. I actually did spend time with Dad, but we really just didn't see eye to eye. We just didn't talk that much. So I was like, wow, that's interesting. So we pretty much see that, they have that moment. And then we see that damn Ben from Esquire. He's still being messy because Darla even said that this is off the record. Do not talk about this. But here you go, because he wants his exclusive. He wants to talk about it. And she's like, no, we're not going down that road. He's like, look, the problem with you, Charlie, is that you're so controlling and that you always want to control the narrative. I want the human. I want the real Charlie. I don't want the perfect Charlie. I don't want the Charlie that just gives me the right answers or the answers that I want to hear. I want the real. So he was actually planning on talking about the mill being clogged and her going batshit crazy trying to unclog it herself. Well, she decides to use to flip the script. She's like, This is what you can do. You can print the story minus the clogging situation, and I'll let you do a story about me and Davis getting a divorce. And I'm like, Charlie, this is going to come back to bite you because we already know that her and Davis agreed not to talk about the divorce until it was finalized. And now the story's going to get out about you guys being divorced before the divorce is final. So yeah, Davis is gonna be pissed once this hits the fan. So, but this is Charlie. Charlie knows how to will and deal. She's like, if I give you this, you know, I'ma get that. You know, she knows how to will and deal, and that's how the way Charlie is. She's a person that is about moving forward, and she just has a forward trajectory. So so after after that, you know, as the whole meal, the opening of the meal goes off, you know, continues to go on, you know, on a good note, and then we see that they all are going to pay their respects to the Baudelaire family, mainly, you know, Ernest, and we actually see that that Aunt Vi decides to join them along with Hollywood and everybody else. The whole family shows up, and we actually see that Nova, you know, pretty much gives respects to her mother, because her mother, I think, was cremated. She wasn't actually buried. And she pretty much says that she's free. And, you know, she has a moment where she reminisces about her mother. And then they go to, they pretty much go to Ernest's gravesite, and they do a service for him. And we see that Blue has another doll, but right now he thinks it's Kenya, but later on he finds out it's not. So we actually see that they pretty much they have like a ceremony where they, you know, pay their respects to Ernest. You know, everybody, you know, as a family, you know, they come together to pay their respects to him, and then they go back to Aunt Vi's house for dinner. And next thing you know, Ralph Angel's looking for Blue. Blue is hiding behind a curtain crying because he realized that the doll is not Kenya, because he says Kenya has a birthmark that I made myself, and the birthmark's not there. See, Ralph Angel knew that when Darla tried to replace that doll, Blue was going to remember that Blue was going to remember that it wasn't Kenya. That Blue was going to find that out. See, Ralph Angel knows Blue very well. He's like, he's going to know the difference, and he found out the difference. So he tells him that, you know, Kenya got thrown away, and he's like, did I do something bad? He's like, no, you didn't do nothing bad. Did Kenya do something bad? And he's like, no, Kenya didn't do anything bad. You know, it was just an accident. It happened by mistake. And then, you know, he hugs Blue and says that everything's going to be all right. And then Blue asks, why did that lady at the store call you a liar? And he says, well, I'm not going to be lying anymore. So they about to sit at the table to eat. They're about to go to the throne of grace, and they ask Ralph Angel to pray. So the fact that he said that he wasn't going to lie, and now you're telling him to take y'all to the throne of grace, he pretty much decides to start praying. And within the prayer, he starts saying, I haven't been honest with y'all. And then all of a sudden, Aunt Vi knew exactly what he was about to do, and she was like, Ralph Angel, just finished the prayer. But he was like, you know, I gotta put this out there. So he decides to tell about the letter that Ernest left, that he found in the house, where he left the whole farm to him, and Nova and Charlie were not involved. Man, did that go completely left. After he mentioned that, oh, everything started coming out. Also, Charlie's like, oh, so I uprooted my whole life and everything to come down here, and the whole time you knew this and you didn't say anything. But Ralph Angel didn't say anything. He didn't know until the end of season 1. But throughout this whole time, yeah, he knew and didn't say anything. One being that Aunt Vi said that, you know, this can hurt y'all something real bad. So if you write that check, you better be able to cash it. So he decided to open up and tell that he actually is the owner of the farm, that the father left everything to him. So pretty much Charlie's like, so you mean to tell me you knew all this even after I invested all my money into this? You know, she's like, oh, so you were just using me for money, huh? And then Ralph Angel's like, oh, there you go, Charlie. You always go there. And then Nova was like, don't do that, Ralph Angel. Don't you do that at all. It's like, oh, so what? Y'all gonna all team up on me? I mean, tears are coming down all of their faces. And it's just crazy. And so Charles like, oh, so that's what it is? You were just using me for my money? And then all of a sudden, Dawn was like, that was not what he was trying to do. So all of a sudden, Charles like, oh, you knew about this too? Yeah, because remember, Dollar was there when he found it. Then Nova's like, okay, Daddy was working as a janitor. He worked himself into the ground for you, Ralph Angel. And he's like, oh, really? That's how you gonna go? And she's like, yeah. You know, due to the fact that you weren't there to help him with the land, he had to work to support himself because he didn't have the extra. He didn't have, you know, he didn't have no one to help work the farm. And because he wasn't able to make enough money to build he wasn't able to make a harvest, he had to work. And he worked himself into the ground. And he was like, oh, so that's how it is, Charlie? You know what? I ain't for this. Like, here it is, you know, you care about all these other dudes locked up, but you don't even care about your own brother. She said, you put yourself in prison. So don't even go there with me with that. And she's like, you know what? I'm so over this. And like both Charlie and Nova was about to leave, and Aunt Vi's like, no, we gonna handle this. Ain't nobody walking out of nothing. We gonna stay here and we gonna handle this. And you know, Ralph Angel's like, look, I'm just trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to be honest, and I just had to like, boy, you should have done that in a different setting because you did that at the dinner table of all places. So going back to what I said, sometimes there's a time and place to reveal things. During the dinner table after all of that was probably not a good time for you to spread that because emotions are high and everybody, and literally all of them went batshit crazy at that dinner table. So that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to y'all about it. But yeah, this was a good episode. So now the cat's out the bag. Everybody now knows about the letter that Ernest wrote where he left everything to Ralph Angel, that is. Alright, so that's my review, y'all. Subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the next episode of Queen Sugar. So until then, everybody, take care.